Fingers crossed. And we're live.
Thank you, Mark. Again, my name is Peggy Townsend, Vice Chairman of the Annapolis City Ethics Commission. And I want to open the meeting on Wednesday, September 27th. And we are going to hear from a presentation from Tricia Hopkins from the HR department. Turning it over to you, Tricia.
All right, thank you. So I am Tricia Hopkins. I'm the Human Resources Manager. Thank you for having me here. We are happy to be a partner to help make sure that we're communicating the impact and expectations of our ethics law with the City of Annapolis. We routinely and regularly make sure that individuals that are newly hired have a couple of things in their wheelhouse immediately. We make sure that they get a copy of the ethics law, especially as it affects employees. And so we make sure they're educated on both their roles and responsibilities as an employee. And then should they separate employment with us, what the constraints are, should they engage in business, and what those business practices are limited to after they leave employment. We also share the latest frequently asked questions that were put together by the Ethics Commission. So if you have any desire to make some changes to them, just a matter of doing so, communicating with me, and we'll make sure they're shared as well. If there are individuals that are subject, employees that are subject to the ethics language, meaning that they have to file a financial statement, we provide that statement to them upon hire. And then I make sure that I communicate with Karen Steele with the Office of Law when it's time to do the annual reporting, and go through the ethics law, make sure if we've had any additional titles, additional people hired. Actually, we're doing that all along the way, but just really going through the requirements of the law to make sure that list is a good list for then soliciting back from those employees a copy of their financial statement for the annual reporting. And I know that you as a group go through them and then, provide any feedback. We're happy to participate in any role that you need us to participate in, because we do have contact with employees.
I would say the last couple ones, they've gotten better.
Good.
I gotta say, we've had very few or fewer issues. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Okay, we will.
I've forgotten. Are new employees who are subject to financial disclosure supposed to file within the 30 days of their employment?
Yeah, they're given that at their new employee orientation and are instructed to submit that back to the Office of Law. So we don't collect them in HR. We have them provided to the Office of Law directly. So I would imagine if Karen Steele or anyone in the Office of Law is having a difficulty receiving them back, that either she's reaching out directly or we're asked to help. I believe it's the former. So I really couldn't tell you whether that time period is any challenge. I haven't gotten any communication from her that has been.
I don't think we've reviewed any new employee or any employees outside of the normal cycle.
Okay. That be a function of your group.
I was going to say, is that one of our duties, is to review the new employee ethics disclosures when they come on, or at the annual filing?
It's a good question.
I don't know.
Trip, any idea?
I have not heard as that being one of your guys' responsibilities. What?
I didn't.
Forgive me for. I should probably know this, but have you done it in the past?
Not since I've been on the board, but Jim or
Well,
Dave.
It's a long time for me.
Yeah, I believe you've waited for the annual review. again, people are hired throughout the year. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're, and if we have the recency of having educated them in new employee orientation. I've periodically had questions from people, about how to fill it out properly or just general questions. Most of my questions are in the vein of, somebody offered to take me out to lunch. Is that okay? And really have some people err on the side of concern. And, but that's very infrequent. And I think they're just, as government employees, and especially for people that have maybe come to work for us and are also coming from a public background, they pretty well know behavior of public employees that are needed to comport with any kind of ethics law.
Well, this is my suggestion that we continue with the annual reviews unless Tripp tells us we have to do them within 30 days of them filing their initial one. But I don't think that's actually contemplated.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, I had something came up on the other side of my camera for a second.
No worries.
Were you asking whether or not the commission must review each of the financial forms submitted by new employees?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I have never understood that to be part of your guys' duties. That's why I asked if you'd done it before. I imagine those forms, and I don't know for sure, but I'd imagine those forms would be very useful in the event that an ethics concern down the road is brought up. It's something you may reference back to say, okay, well, this is what you said when you signed, when you came on board with the city,
Mhm.
and useful in the ethics analysis if and when it presents itself. But no, I've never heard of the commission itself actually reviewing them as they roll in.
Okay.
And so when we hire a person that's subject to the financial disclosure form, our orientation person sends a notice to Karen Steele that a form has been provided to such and such person on that date. So that she knows it's in the loop. So as
Coming
Tripp
back.
is saying, there would be knowledge of communicating that on orientation day. And so you've got some evidence of education or, exposure.
Yeah.
And you can't really say, well, I didn't know, because
Got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Jim, are you okay with that conclusion?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
I'll also add one more thing. Just I know Karen does a great job at tracking folks down who do come close to that 30-day mark. And if and when they go beyond, Karen's, as I understand it, very adamant about reminding them
Yes.
that they got to get those forms in. And I'm pretty sure most people do.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Oh, yeah.
She is. Okay. Well, that's something. Anything else, Tricia, that we need to be aware of? I actually forget that you could be a resource to us, to be honest. And maybe in the future we'll try to work more collaboratively with HR and getting some of
Yeah.
these routine, should I go out to lunch with somebody? If you can nip that in the bud before it becomes a formal thing.
Well, that's where the FAQs are helpful,
Okay.
and they were written in such a way so they're some scenario based,
Mm-hmm.
situational things that would be helpful to people who wouldn't have otherwise figured that out. If you come from corporate America, you're probably used to a lot of freebies being handed to you.
Yeah.
It's not the same, certainly in a governmental environment. So the FAQs are good at so you don't blur over and reading, legalese in a code provision. You kind of have pulled out for you those things that you would have as typical questions.
Typical stuff. Yeah.
And then I do, in terms of being a resource outside of all of that, when the FAQs are being developed, we did have conversations in the past around, what would be useful. And I know Jim in the past has also reached out to me if you actually have a complaint, for information that would
Right.
help for context or for
Yep.
understanding the situation in which that complaint was filed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay too.
Great. I appreciate it. Anything else for Tricia? Maybe as a group, maybe we want to relook at the FAQs. That'd be helpful, Tricia, or you think they're good as is?
Yeah, I mean, things are always worth doing
Okay,
a periodic review of.
Okay.
And I can't remember off the top of my head what's the date on the FAQs that we have now.
My guess is probably 3 years or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of feeling pre-COVID-ish.
so
So,
that might be a good reason to relook.
yeah,
The workforce has changed a lot since COVID.
a lot has changed.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, we'll take that under. That's just, I think, an idea for us to chew on at one
Okay.
of our meetings.
Sure.
And we would certainly work with you, Tricia, as we review them. Okay. Anything else from you, Trish?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, I think we can excuse you from this
All right.
lengthy meeting.
Take care.
Stay, Tricia.
Have a
Thank you
good
very much.
evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So not surprising, as you all know, Kevin has resigned from the board. So we need to fill the chair position. And Jim had some thoughts on this.
I would like to nominate Jean as the new chair.
And
I would do it.
I would second that. And I'm going to nominate Jim as to be the vice chair.
That would be helpful.
After we have debate on your nomination, Peggy.
Well, correct, there is that. It's up there with the government shutdown. No, that would be great, Jim, if you would agree to do that, and I'll keep it to a minimum, but your longevity and historical knowledge is really helpful.
But my memory is going bad.
So are we good with that?
I'll second that. And
Second, all
You
in
think they ought to-
favor?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think each of the motions ought to be put to a vote?
Sure.
Yes,
Oh,
so the motion is to have Peggy as chair and Jim as vice chair, and I seconded that motion.
does that work for you, Trip?
Works for me. I'd go ahead and take the vote now.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, done. The last thing, and this is not on the agenda, but Jim called me earlier today about some revisions to our website that I think was designed to make all the commission's websites and all their rules look alike. But, we're like more of a judicial commission than a policymaking commission, if you will. So like having minutes of our meetings doesn't make sense if we're in a, we're passing judgment on things. So that's just one example. And then, Jim, when we were just talking about the FAQs, I don't know that that's on our website.
it should be.
It definitely should be,
It used to be.
given the importance that Tricia just explained to us. And Trip, do you have any idea how these websites were redesigned or what was going on?
Not in the slightest. I could certainly
Okay.
ask. And I share your thoughts just to the effect that the Ethics Commission is a little different by its own nature than most of the other commissions, which do have their own similar websites. I haven't read anything in the code or your rules of procedure that even mention the idea of minutes existing for you all, much less
Yeah.
being uploaded to a web page.
Because we take great pains to block people's names and,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But how do we go about figuring out what we want to change back? Is that Hillary? Or
Yeah,
you?
I was going to suggest Hillary. Let me make a note to go visit her sometime tomorrow or Friday
That'd
And
be
I'll
great.
have her shoot an email to the three of you to, solicit what sort of ideas you guys have about any updates you'd like to make. And if it's not her, she'll certainly know who to go to.
Terrific. And that's terrific because it got really skinny. There's not a lot of info on there. And I think all our prior opinions need to be on there and these FAQs, et cetera. So if we could start investigating that, and we will, what I would suggest is come back and revisit it at another meeting. In the not too distant future, because I do think we need to get it squared away. Does that make sense? Jim, is that
Oh, absolutely.
kind of what you were thinking?
I was shocked when I looked at the website and couldn't find any of their documentation.
Yeah.
And it also needs to be updated with Phil being on the commission, and there's just,
Kevin.
it was shocking.
Yeah, it didn't even reflect Kevin being the new chair.
Right, yes.
So,
I hate to jump in here, but if my memory serves me, Kevin shot an email to the mayor conveying that he was resigning, did he not?
yes,
Okay, I could check with the mayor's office. It looks like he's got to appoint the next member. I just don't know if he's forgotten about it or if that email found its way someplace where he's never going to see it again. It might be worth sticking into letterhead and delivering to the mayor's office, and I can help with that if you guys would like to. I just don't want too much time to go on with this vacancy.
that's right. And Karen has the formal letter that Kevin
Okay.
submitted to the mayor. So she's
Oh,
got
it was
that
a letter.
letter. Yes.
Got it.
And, in the past, we've sort of tried to fill our own vacancies. But this mayor just found somebody and assigned him to us. So is there a role for this commission to play in sort of recruiting somebody, or is this the mayor just wanting to do it himself?
Believe it's the mayor's duty to, give me 1 second. Upon the section 2830 of the code states, upon occurrence of a vacancy on the commission for any reason, the mayor shall nominate an individual to fill that position for a term of up to 5 years.
I think it behooves us, if we have people who we think would be a value added, we shouldn't be shy about sending that person's name to the mayor. And it
Yeah,
should come through you, Peggy.
That's what I'm thinking. He can still pick whoever he wants, but if he wanted some input,
Yeah,
we could provide that.
And in the past, we have recruited people to apply, but once they've applied, they've had no feedback from the city, even of acknowledging their application. The mayor's office has been very lax with such appointments. And then we've had people appointed who had no background. What we'd really like is someone with a lawyer background. I hate to say that.
I do too.
But, that's the mindset that we need because we are quasi-judicial.
Trip, maybe you could dance around that with Hillary.
Sure, absolutely. And like I said, I'll check in with Hillary to see if the mayor's office has had an opportunity to think about Kevin's vacancy, and if and when they're going to replace it. It would be a nice opportunity to gauge what they're looking for and if they'd like to hear from you guys as well. I'm sure they would.
Exactly. That would be very helpful, Trip.
Yep.
I don't want to usurp the mayor's authority in any way, but just may be helpful to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's got a line of people waiting that we don't know about or what, so I'll
I
certainly.
kind of doubt it.
I'll
It's not like
certainly
the
let you
stadium
know.
authority. Okay. Is there anything else we need to do today? Maybe we will meet in October to go over the FAQs and brainstorm about a new member. Does that make sense?
sounds good to me.
Just another quick meeting, and
Of course, I may not be back from California till December, so
There's Zoom in California, Dave. Okay, so I'll try to schedule something for the FAQ discussion, and I might bring Tricia in, don't you think? For that?
It wouldn't hurt.
Yep. And the vacancy. Okay,
And if we could distribute the FAQs, it's been a long time. I'm sure I have it in my file, but it's a matter of finding it.
I don't know that I've ever seen them, to be honest.
That's possible.
Oh,
As the newbie, newer.
Yeah.
newbie. I'll do a quick run through my file. And see
okay, Jim, that'd be helpful.
If I have it, I'll give it to everybody.
Okay. Anything else?
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
I will second that.
And all in favor? I don't think you need to vote on that, but anyway,
Aye.
we'll do it. We'll do it anyway. Okay, well, everyone have a great rest of the week. Dave, I hope you make it to California and have a great time.
And Monday's a holiday.
Pardon me?
Monday is
Monday's
a
a-
holiday.
What is it?
Columbus.
Columbus Day.
Huh, I didn't
It's
know that.
what?
Or is it the following Monday?